Welcome to the Ladies Who Leverage podcast, where we empower women to own their power, create influence and impact, and live life unapologetically AF. It's time to leverage your expertise, resources, and relationships to build your business, brand, and badassery. So just click subscribe and let's get it. I'm your host, Kelly Charles Collins. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leverage podcast. Today, my guest is Donjia Gale. Now, this is really interesting. I love that Donjia says this about herself. She is an absolute solutionist, which I love, and I cannot wait to talk to her about. Her expertise and experiential knowledge are igniting intentional action in others personally and professionally. Donjia Gale's insight and wisdom inspires people to listen to their inner voice and navigate decision-making on a whole other level. Her upcoming series, Energy is Everything, is sharing the truth and how to gain clarity and elevation. Donjia, thank you so much for being a guest on the Ladies Who Leverage podcast.
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here. Now, you will have to give me a little bit of guidance on this because I saw your subtitle, Unapologetic AF. So tell me where I'm at and how I can really speak on this podcast. And I'm happy to dive in and be here with you today.
Don't worry, I will guide you. I will ask you questions. I really wanted you on here because we met in Clubhouse one day, and I just loved your energy and what you were doing. And when you were talking about this whole thing about being a solutionist and people, who were coming on and who had discussions with you, and they were raving about you and just how you had helped them. And so that you all know, when we're talking about solutionist, it's spelled Soulutionist. So she's talking about your soul. So now I've said that, and and we say it's about the energy and your inner voice, but let's go back a little bit, Donjia, before we get into what that means to be a solutionist, and just tell our listeners a little bit about your background and how you got here, because I know part of it involves radio.
It does. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for the amazing introduction. That is how we met. So I am a fan. I am a fan of that platform. Unapologetically. Yes, I am. Because I get to talk with people throughout the world. It's been an enhancing platform for me to connect with people, do what I do in this time and space in the universe, in this time and space in the world, in America, as we go and merge virtually, but still connect authentically. That's what I'm seeing and feeling. That's what's happening with me. And it's been pretty phenomenal, to be honest. All right, thank you so much for that question. It's my whole background and where I got to the Soulutionist. Now, I have to share something with you. You're super insightful. I have been debating actually changing the Solutionist to Soulutionist for a minute. I need to trademark on it right now, so everyone just know I'm bitten that, because that's what I'm doing. That's where I work from, the place from the soul and the energy. Yet I haven't put it on my website yet. So that just gave me chills that you knew that's where I'm merging in this. When we talk about live radio, we laughed a little bit before getting on right now. And I had teams helping me out in all of this, and like, everybody be on, everybody be ready. And then something happens. Inevitably, something will shift or change, whether it be technically or whatever. And so I appreciate being here, because that eclectic part of staying ready, listening, being able to reset any moment at any time, recognizing the disruptors, being a disruptor, understanding and knowing and aligning with your energy is really the core of navigating this thing we call life. We get so into step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I say this every day on my podcast and in my platforms and in my rooms, wherever I am. There's nothing new under the sun, nothing. Anything that you hear today, not just from me or from Kelly or anyone here, right? Anything that you hear today will not be brand new to you. You will have read it, heard it, felt it, got some kind of divine guidance or idea or feeling about it. But my work, and within my work, it is my role and responsibility to ignite that, So as a solutionist, I ignite intentional action in others, hundreds, thousands, millions of people worldwide, to discover what is meant, face the things that they see as problems so they don't reside in them, see those problems as a red flag, not as a place to live and give your energy to, but a red flag to make decisions. And so my eclectic background in radio is one of the things. Radio came to me, I was invited to it. Live radio, we were on over 50 stations across the nation and worldwide. And I was recruited. Someone saw a producer saw my LinkedIn profile, and he really groomed me up. And it was the Women's Broadcasting Network. There hadn't been a network out there like that. This was about 5 years ago. And it's because I realized I have a gift. I can talk about anything at any time, anywhere, whatever it is. Even if I don't know about it, I can get you to someone who does, but I can still speak around the topic. So I was like, oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. Teach me how to go on live. They taught me how to put the headphones on, how to do the stuff, how to get ready, how to read, stuff that people go to school for years. Now, quick tip. I had already put myself in media school in Colorado.
Okay.
And I'm going to give a shout out to Colorado Media School right now, because they actually did help me. And they were like, Donnie, you really don't even really need us. Like, just go do this. And then a short amount of time later, I'm telling you, this is a true story about manifestation and putting yourself in solutions and creating circumstances and environment. I put myself in that. And I don't want to go too far before I answer the questions in your interview. I will honor you directing this conversation. Yeah, I put myself in Colorado Media School, wasn't there too long, applied for an internship because the Ryan Seacrest Foundation was putting people on their brand new team in my home state. And I was like, I'm going to do this. So I applied for it and I got it. So I started working with the Ryan Seacrest Foundation. And then I left Colorado Media School. And right during that is when they said, hey, do you want to do the Women's Broadcasting Network live? So all of this is manifestation because, one, I was listening to my soul, didn't even know what the heck I was doing, just knew I needed to put myself in a situation, and it started to manifest. And that is one of the hugest pivoting moments for me to get to being a solutionist on the SOUL level and being a solutionist and creating and manifesting the environments I'm in. So that's how it started.
Yeah. And I think what you just said about putting yourself in spaces. So oftentimes we have a thought or we have a feeling or someone gives us an opportunity and we think, no, that's not right for me. I'm not qualified enough to do that. And you were like, listen, I don't know how to do any of this, but I'll put myself in that space and I will learn how to do that. And because you did that, then other opportunities open up. And I think that's really important. So as you talk about, being a solutionist and a solutionist, it is about knowing that there are problems, we all have issues, but we can't, I love that you said like the red flag, you can't live there, right? I say sit, don't stay, right? And which is similar to what you're saying, right? Sit, don't stay. Like, yeah, acknowledge that these things are happening, but what are you going to do about it? How are we going to move forward? And so when you did this radio show, what was like, really, what were you doing? What were you talking about? And what issues were you addressing? And then did you take that and move that into what you're doing now?
Absolutely. So it was a pivoting moment. It was an awakening moment. It was, oh, you really do this moment, because the producer that I was working with really did edify me, and he saw me. Not, of course, I'm sure he saw the dollars and the influence and the money. I mean, let's be real. This is real life, everybody. But the conversations that we had before I took on this role were very in depth. And he saw where I was going from being in corporate into the risk taking of being an entrepreneur. So the course and the basis of the Women's Broadcasting Network was entrepreneurship, women's entrepreneurship, where women are right now, where we have always been. Back then, having a seat at the table 5 years ago, right? Big quote. Do we have a seat at the table? Going all in, right? Or are we the table? I say that a lot of times now. Do we have a seat at the table, or are we as women
the table? Yeah,
the table? We're the table. We are the table. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen, who's ever watching this, okay? And so at that moment, it was always having a seat at the table, right? Come on, man. So being live was huge for me, because they're like, here's how it went. They would give me a topic like real close to the time, and let's talk about this. Now, they try to give me topics ahead of time so I can build out this list. That never worked for me. Like looking and reading on it, I would try to read it, but my radio voice would change, like reading what they told me. So I shared with them, okay, guys, I understand there's a script. I understand the guidelines. So I would study the guidelines, but really I would put them away and just go live. And we talked about politics, women, money, network marketing, entrepreneurship, anything that dealt with women. And guess what? The major content, when the numbers came back, the listeners in the audience were dominantly men. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
I'm not showing my face. There's no, ooh, look at me, look at my hair. This is live radio. We had more men listening than women at that time, right? And I was like, this is interesting. Oh, they want to learn. Well, I will. I'm happy to share and teach from my perspective. I don't necessarily believe in coaches and teaching and telling, do, go, whether it's radio or mentorship or coaching. I do believe in guiding. So I used my divine guidance, my inner voice. And when they said, Donjia, today we're talking about, let me think back 5 years ago. I don't know, I was in network marketing. I was working with a huge player in network marketing at that time. It was new to me. I'd done a significant amount of dollars within a week based on his mentorship. His mentorship helped me understand that I could, will, and should speak to masses of people. At one point in time, I cried in front of talking with him because whether you can believe this or not, at one point in time, I didn't want to speak in front of people, right? I knew I had a voice. I knew I was going to be on Good Morning America and all these shows. Circling back, going live, you asked me the question, what we talked about is anything and everything on demand, had to go live, had to speak to the world, remember 50 stations worldwide, and be unapologetic and be on point. There's no cut back, edit, go, run it back. Live conversations. They did not edit this, ladies and gentlemen. Kelly, listen, it was a whole new playing ground for me because I could actually talk and speak the way I felt and meant it. And then the audience or the guests would have to pivot off of that. Some days it was awakening. Some days, most days, it was the most real reality show, talk show I've ever done.
Yeah. And you know, as you describe that, the thing that I think of is Clubhouse, right? It is the closest thing to what's happening in Clubhouse in that you show up, whatever the topic is, you speak on that topic or you don't. You never know what somebody's going to ask you when they come up on your stage. And you just have to roll with the punches. And so it seems a lot like that, you know, and doing that. And for me, you know, it's interesting when you're talking about, you know, having read something and then your voice kind of changes. And I find the same for me, that if I have to read and prepare it and then deliver it, there is a difference in the way that that comes off as opposed to me just talking to you and answering your questions or asking you questions that just flow naturally from a conversation. It's the reason that I do the podcast the way that I do, because I like to listen to what people are saying and flow and have that type of conversation. And so when you were doing that, Donjia, did that take you into understanding the power that you had in being able to help people see the red flag, but not live there, and understand that it's not about sitting in that. It's really about what is the solution? How do we get beyond where we are?
Yes. And thank you for asking. I've learned to listen to hear. And I will repeat that. Listen to hear. As you know, there's two different things between listening and hearing. Okay. So I heard and felt what you're saying. I still feel the question that you asked, because you mentioned so many different things. Flow. I did a room just 2 days ago on flow. It was amazing. I did a room today on being a disruptor. And I call these rooms, I don't know if everyone's familiar with Clubhouse. This is the platform, once again, that we met on, you and I met on. And honestly, Clubhouse should pay us for this. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there.
Right.
Okay. We've edified this platform significantly because it's how we met, right?
Yeah.
So, so I'm just throwing it out there to the universe. Yes, we do accept payment. Thank you. Okay. So the reason why I feel that is because even the people in any audience, online or offline, their energy matters, whether we're looking at them on a platform, whether they're the listeners on radio, whether they're in a Zoom, the listening energy has equal power to the speaking energy. It is a reciprocal. There is no speaking unless there's an audience. You're going to speak to yourself. I've done it. Okay. I started in the beginning and I didn't know anyone yet. I didn't build a following. My soul, my solution, keep talking anyway. No one jumped on your Zoom today. I was brand new in the game 10 years ago. Okay. I'm going to keep talking like someone's there. I'm going to keep talking. And sure enough, 1, 2 audiences came. So in answering your question, that listening and hearing and the power of being a diligent, intentional speaker in flow allows you to connect to solutions, because not only are you listening to yourself, you're listening to the perspective of others. And in that is a formula, one of trillions to a solution. So a lot of times, my experiential knowledge, I would say 99.9% of the time, my experiential knowledge, and I share this with everyone. If you're listening right now, you are an expert at something, somehow, some way. Do not let anyone tell you that you are not. You have overcome something, you have done something, you have been somewhere, you've observed something, you went to school, whether it's in education or whether it's experiential knowledge. That is expertise. So the collectiveness of my experiential knowledge got me to doing the solutions, got me to be a better listener so that I can hear. And when I can hear, I can help activate. So there's a formula: listen, hear, activate, speak, vision, manifest. That is my experiential knowledge. So when we're talking and slang off the dome or off the top of your head or live like that on the Clubhouse platform, like you said, you cannot mask your voice. I work in the area of inner voice. Okay, I have a tool that is phenomenal. We can talk about that later or not, but I have a tool now that I incorporate in my business that actually picks up your frequency and your energy. And I say this all the time: you cannot mask your voice. You can come on and act like you're having a phenomenal day, and you can say, "Hello, everybody. I am Donjia Gale, and I'm so wonderful today, and my day has been perfect." But the truth is, the frequency of your voice, if people are listening to hear, they'll know the truth. That's why I love that platform so much, is because you can hear people off the cuff. There's no rewind, replay. You can hear someone's not telling the truth. You can hear someone if they're full of BS. You can hear the pitches. You know, you can hear everything. So relative to what you said, it's the authenticity that I love about being live on these platforms, because this is where you get to the real solution, because you can press on people and ask questions for them to listen to themselves, and then you can help guide them to solutions.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the platform is really interesting. I'm not on there as much as I used to be, but it is a really great place to practice your hearing, right? So when I think about, and I'm glad that you said listen and hear, because to me, listen is the mechanics, right? It's the mechanics of how sound travels into, right, our ears. But hearing is really internalizing what people are saying so that you can understand, and then if necessary, respond, because we don't always want to respond. And so I love that you said that, to separate those two things, because it's not the same. And so when we're on those platforms, when we're, having conversations with people, we do need to really hear what people are saying, because that's how you'll make the connection. And so when you're saying, we can talk all day long. It's like you ask somebody, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm fine. And you're like, yeah, no. Right. Because I'm hearing, right. Because I'm hearing, right. Like you said, the vibration. And so I do want you to talk about what you were just saying, the tool that you're using, because it is, our voice does tell us a lot about what's happening in our world, what is going on with us, how are we really feeling. So I am fascinated by what you just mentioned about the tool that you're using.
Yes, I'd love to offer you a complimentary session. It's a whole nother podcast. And what I feel right now, just got a little bit of chill, is that is affirming. So I'd like to offer you a complimentary session. It is absolutely mind-blowing. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how it works. I invested in myself just before all of this world shift in 2020, a significant amount, more than I ever have in my own history, more than I had in my kids, more than I had in anything. And I bet on myself because I knew and felt intuitively that some kind of shift was happening and changing. I didn't know what it was, but I'm telling you, I was like, here you go. I'm doing this, right? So I hired a team and a coach, and they were like, Donnie, you don't really need us. Here's what you do already. You help people listen to your inner voice. And I had some blocks, and one of the blocks was a money block. And part of it came from how I was raised on money. Love my parents, my grandparents, beautiful history, beautiful family, not perfect, but I had an amazing childhood. Yet the way that my mom would talk about money from those old school phrases and all of that are not how I think and feel and understand money as it is today. Money is currency, money is energy, it is infinite, it is limitless for all. I grew up back in the turn the lights out because we got the phone bill, we have the light bill to pay. Okay, pay attention. I still believe in conservation. There's a difference between currency and conservation. But in my house, get a whooping for leaving the heat on and touching the heater. Touch the heater in my house when I was a kid. Touch the heater and turn the heat up beyond what my parents had it on. And that was a whole different conversation, okay? So never did I get a whooping, y'all. That's just, I'm being exaggerative, but it was just not the right thing to do because what the electric pill would be. Now, again, there's conservation, and then there's smart currency, and then there's limitless currency. So going back to inner voice, these are the blocks that I had when I started working with them. And they was like, Donjia, you help people listen to their inner voice. You've been doing this since a child. Kids on the playground would tell me, and I was like, yes, this is what I do. So I started taking that and building a business from it, right? This is in first quarter 2020. Then all these things happened. Then 3 to 4 months later, one of my great friends, she's a celebrity stylist, she's also a healer, she called me and says, you got to check this out. I've been introduced to this by some amazing doctors throughout the world. This tool is phenomenal. Get on. And I was like, yeah, I'm not. Okay. I got things to do. I'm creating something right now. Well, I went on and did it. And the way that it works, it's called inner voice. You speak for 10 seconds and it gets your voice and your frequency. Your voice is your frequency. We are energy in a physical body, okay? We are mind, body, soul, and spirit. So you speak for 10 seconds in it and it picks up your internal frequency. Much like when you have an ultrasound, okay? Women, when you have a child, there's an ultrasound that's placed on the outside of your body. Well, what shows the image inside the body? It's not actually going inside every time. I know there's an option of that now, but most of the time the ultrasounds are read on the outside. Well, what picks it up is a frequency. It is sound that shows you the image. It's sound and vibration that show you the image of the baby inside. And now they even have 3D. The reason why I use that analogy is because when you speak for 10 seconds, this device that I have just invested in that I have picks up your frequency, your sound, your vibration in 10 seconds. It records it, and then it sends it back to you, a report of what you look like internally, both emotionally and physically. It gives you 4 different areas. It shows you different colors, different areas that energy is affecting your body, and suggestions on how to fix that. It also gives you 4 colors you can wear, colors you can add into your branding, colors that you can place around your home that are your balancing colors. It also delivers 4 tones. They sound like a song. They're 12 minutes long. They're 3 minutes each. You download them together. You listen to them suggested 1 to 14 days. Okay, this enhanced my life on levels. So I did this, everything that I just mentioned. I listened to my friend, I did this. I was diligent with this. I'm not always the best at routines, but this time I knew this was something special. So I tested it out. This is not a treatment, diagnosis, or cure that I'm talking about. I always have to state that. And I am not a doctor. But in the elements of my gifts and talents, there are ways that I feel things insightfully. This tool shows you it in a form on a report. So you get all this information and then you get a report. It's called a vital and comprehensive report. It goes all over what's inside your body. When I say down to your nervous system, any ailment you might have. I was vitamin A and K deficient. Listen, I'm gonna tell a funny story, y'all. I thought, this is funny yet not funny. I thought I had diabetes. I'm calling my mom. I'm getting a little older now. I'm like, had blurred vision for a little while just during like this whatever we want to call this in the world. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm distressed or looking at the computer too much. Well, here I go. I asked my mom, there's been pre-diabetic in our family. Oh shoot, is this really happening? Come to find out, I did the scan on myself. I was only vitamin A and K deficient. Go to the grocery store, Donjia, get vitamin A and K. Took it for 3 days, did the scan again. No more blurred vision since. This was 4 months ago. I was deficient. The report showed me I was deficient in vitamin A and K. I had a sciatic nerve for 3 months throughout this. The tones and frequencies, I listened to them. It balances your body on a cellular level. It's pretty deep. You have to experience it to know it. I have never experienced the sciatic nerve again. It takes the vibration and the sound that you listen to and helps align your body on a cellular level. And if you could see my hands moving, it's a vibration. You can hear it in my voice like this. That's what it does when you listen to it. People with vertigo, people with other ailments, sleeping issues, cancer, no smell. There are hundreds of frequencies on this device that you can add to it once it shows you what's going on. When you see it, it doesn't look like something's, I'm going to change the wording on that. When you see it, it is not, here's what's wrong with you. When you see it, is an awareness only. So it will show you a red and a green. It will be a clear report to read out to you on ways that can be indicative of you taking it to your doctor, of you knowing something that's going on with you. 100% of my family, clients, and friends who've experienced this have been mind blown about the detail. Even historically, I had a client whose dad had like blood clots and had further issues from something in the back of his leg. She did the inner voice. She's like a #1 fan, an amazing, amazing person. And she had it show up on her device and she had felt like it might've been hereditary. Well, here's what happens when this shows up, and there's no guarantee in this. It did show up for her. Now she can address it before it becomes the same issue as her father, right? Yeah. And so this is pretty phenomenal. I could go on and on about it. I'll keep it brief, but that's what it's about. And I'm excited for you to do it. And it is changing and enhancing lives. And I'm so thrilled that I have been gifted the opportunity to work in this area, because that inner voice work is the core of everything before you get to business building, entrepreneurship, and parenting, and all these things that we do. You've got to align your energy, because if you're not good, no one else is.
Yeah. And I want to talk to you, Donjia, about what you mean by inner voice, because people may have, different thoughts about what that means. So when you talk about the inner voice, what are you referring to?
So many times, and we need to move past this, and I call it forward right now, unapologetically. I say, something told me. How many times do you hear that each day? Something told me to go on a walk. Something told me to call. Something told me. Let's remove that, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we are divinely guided. We are divinely protected, and we are divinely provided for. There is just no something. There are maybe different names, but there is a highest energy, highest power that is our divine intuition. And that is our inner voice. That is our navigation. When you hear and see and feel and align, it could be chakra driven. It could just be regular energy driven. But when you listen to that gut feeling, when it shares with you, it's right, it's right. When it shares with you, it's wrong, it's wrong. And we have gotten so logistic and coached and mentored and listening to books and doing all these other things, which I believe are phenomenal. And there's a time and a place for all of them, that many people move away from listening to the divine intuitive navigation that we have, which is our inner voice. Yeah. That's where I move from. I've always moved from. People ask me about my success and growth and bouncing forward, bouncing back, leveling up. I'm a risk taker. How did I get to the place I am now? I have a tremendous story. And my story is still in progress. I have not, quote unquote, made it. If anyone's out there who just felt like they have made it, no matter how much money they're making or whatever, as long as you're breathing, there's still more to come. There's still more for you to do, right? That's the cycle of life. I don't know any millionaire, billionaire who goes, hey, I made $1 million, I made $1 billion, I made it, I'll just sit right here. It's an energy, it's a frequency, you know what I'm saying? So that inner voice is your divine inner voice, and everyone listen to it. It's the one that will guide you 100% of the time. And I'm full of care in this. It is your divine inner voice. And I say that because that's the pure, authentic one. It is not the BS other inner voice. It's not the one that tells you no. It's not the negative psyche. It's not the devil's advocate. It's not any adversity. It is pure and absolute truth, and it will guide you and navigate you in anything, personally and professionally, That is your inner voice. That's where we work from. And now I have a tool that assists me in showing people how to do that even more.
Yeah, that I think that that's really awesome, because one of the things you talk about too is that I read this quote from you, and I want you to talk about what this means. And I think it has to do with what you're talking about, like the inner voice and just listening and understanding that things are going to happen. You said change and transition is inevitable and must be met with extraordinary insight and intentional action, as well as eyes that see the essence of right now and the bountiful beauty beyond simultaneously. That's a lot, but what does that mean?
It's the most real way. And even if you'd like to read it again and again, whoever's out there, you can see it on my website at donjiagale.com. It is on the front page. Thank you for taking a look at that. I appreciate the research. That just enhanced your credibility. Not that you needed it, but thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That is a quote I placed and I felt and I knew to write it, because that is a formula. If you break down the wording and what I'm saying there, it's a formula. It's a long, in English, it might be what did they say? The too long of a sentence. I used to get in trouble for that as a kid.
Words in it. Yeah.
Too many words in it. I don't care. That's how I felt. And that's what I know to write. And that's what I would like people to do. So the essence of that is you have everything you need, you have right now. That's my other quote that I use often. So in every right now leads to the next. And to be a solutionist, to create your world, to manifest, to solve these so-called problems that show up, which really are only identifiers to shift, change, or make a decision to elevate you for the highest good, okay? To elevate you, I'm gonna repeat that intentionally, to elevate you for the highest good. You have to see what's happening right now, and you must face it. When you face it, solutions will come to you. People, places, things, options, choices. Too many people are sweeping it under the rug, again, ignoring it, and then wonder why they have this mountain of things to unlearn and get rid of. And they spend half their life doing that. I can tell you, even as long as I've been here, I've spent a significant amount of time unlearning and undoing some things of what we inevitably inherit being people, from our parents, from business, from corporate, or wherever. When I say you must see the bountiful beauty beyond, you have to see what's happening right now. And this is my gift. I can see what's happening right now. I can hear it, I can feel it. And I also simultaneously can see what's happening next. And what happens next, we get to create, right? It's not the picket fence scenario that they taught us in school. Go to school, get married, find a husband or a wife, the white picket fence. That's institutionalized. That was for only some people. But that model was created for everyone, which as a creative has not been my narrative. At one point in time, I thought that was my whole life. What would my life look like right now if that was all I was doing? I would have only been a wife. I would have only been a mom. My creative side, my solutionist side, my soul, my inner being, my trials, my risks, my entrepreneurship, my journey, my downfalls that brought me only higher than high. These downfalls, these challenges, whoever's in right now, oh, please appreciate them. They're only there so you can elevate. They're the launching pad. They're the advisory. They're the disruptor, right? When you listen to your inner voice, you can feel that, navigate, and elevate. So that quote, please take a look at it again. It is a long-ended quote at donjiagale.com. And it means diligently know and understand where you are right now. Navigate life. Change is inevitable. Stop creating this picture of what everything always should perfectly look like. The best happens when things show up. New people, new partnerships, new things. And we are constantly evolving. That's why every right now needs to be very important, because you're not the same person you were yesterday or the day before or last year or 5 years when you made that goal. So navigating change means I'm paying attention to who I am today, who I am around today, the decisions I'm making today, not 5 years ago, because the solution is going to shift and change as we grow. Know that inevitably, no matter if you can see the vision clearly or not, then inevitably there is bountiful beauty. Whether it is being a multi-million-dollar business, being a mom, being a better parent, whatever it is, that's the bountiful beauty that you aim for. And the universe shows you the how, as long as you listen to the divine guidance and inner voice. And I can say in my life, oh, I get a little emotion. It is better than even I thought. And it's in practice daily. So that quote is one of my favorite things. It's what I felt, and I left it there. And thank you for reading it and sharing it with everybody.
You're welcome. No, when I read it, I was like, when you read it, you see that there's just a lot in it. But as you said, if you break it down, you see, right, that there is a formula to it. Because when you say change and transition is inevitable, that in and of itself is just one whole, like, yes, right? And you can sit there, you can sit in that and just understanding that that is a truth. Change and transition is inevitable. And then you say, but we know that, and you have to do something about that. So you have to meet it with the insight and intentional action, right? So it's not enough to know that that's going to happen. We have to know, what are you going to do? Because we know that's going to happen. What are you going to do about that, right? What insight do you need, and what actions do you need to take? And what do you need to see right now and for the future? And you said you have to do that at the same time in order to make sure that you are in alignment to go forward. It is a beautiful, it's a beautiful quote that just has so much that you just have to really sit in it for a minute, right? To understand. Because if you just read it, because when I read it, I know it's a lot. So people are just thinking, wow, that's a lot. But if you just take it piece by piece, you see all of the pieces, but how they so well, really meld together for this one thought about listening, being present, but also being future thinking, right? And making sure that all of those things are happening at the same time.
Thank you. Simultaneously, I am going to say we have such great synergy. This entire conversation, you are right with so many of the things that I talk about, that I share and I do. And it is such an honor to work with, collaborate, be on a podcast, have conversations with people who are on your frequency, who too are doing the personal development, listening to their inner voice. You put your podcast out. How many times have people not even put the podcast out, but have the same amount of frequency and conversations that they could share if they're not doing it? I applaud you for doing that. And actually, I'm just going to say this on public air right now, would love to work with you on some level, because the fact that you can break down my formula and understand and see it and then read it back to this audience means that we have something in common on levels. Oh. And so there may be something out there. We'll explore it as it comes, but I'll just say it openly to you and the universe.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's funny that you say about the podcast, because I never had any intention of doing a podcast. And one night in Clubhouse, got called out about whether or not, I had this podcast. And I have had such an amazing time. The podcast has been on since February, but I've really had a good time having conversations with women like you and really learning and sharing, because there's so many of us in this world doing so many amazing things. And then there's so many of us who are in spaces that we're like, oh, what's next? What can I do? Can I do that? Right? Can I use what is my divine power and superpower to go out into the world and do something that will help people? Right? And that's exactly what you're doing. When you talk about, like, this is your gift, right? This is not one of the things that they teach us in school about the careers, right? That this is not the fire person, the mail person. These are not when we have career day, right? But I think it's so important for us to understand that our gifts will make a way.
That's it. It's written. It is written. You and I know where it's at. It is written. Your gifts will make a way for you. And I have taken my gifts along my journey. Oh, I love this conversation. It's reminding me as I look out in one of the places that I manifested. I'm looking at a lake. I'm looking at almost a lake house. I mean, it's right off the lake. The lake is literally steps away from me, with a pool and a sauna. And it's all 4 layers right in front of my view here. And I get to live here. I asked one day, how can it get better than this? I already had a lovely place in Beverly Hills. I already knew things were manifesting. How can I get better than this? And then constantly I am shown, not just by where I live and the environments that I create, the people, the partnerships. This does not mean perfection. I put a post up on Instagram recently, and I said my relationship with my children is perfection. And if you look up the actual meaning of perfection, it does not mean perfect. Perfection means the act of working on something until it's flawless or near flawless, right? We know nothing is perfect, but we constantly work on our relationship. They're young adults now. And so I'm looking at all this. This is part of my son's manifestation too. This is one of our homes out of a few places now, when at one time we really had to really wonder at where we were going to live. Let's just be real. I'm not going to go there today, but there were some days where we're like, oh shoot, if there's no solution right now, I better move. And I didn't have an inheritance. I didn't have family I could look at. And that's part of where my origin of solutions began, because it was me, myself, and I, and the Most High. Me, myself, and I, and the Most High. So I had to create some solutions for myself, for my children, for my family, and because it's our responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our responsibility to share our gifts. We're not out here just searching for purpose. We are purpose, and we came here to live and learn and love and play and give the earth something. We didn't come to take anything from it. We came to give. That's why we can't take the stuff with us when we leave, right? Because we came to give. Tangibly, intangibly, we came to experience, we came to play, we came to learn, and that has a lot of ups and downs with it. So I just implore everyone, as you're listening to this amazing podcast, to discover what is meant, get to some solutions, right? Even if it's one simple thing, by changing a routine in your day, by changing a conversation, eliminating a conversation, or redefining a relationship. There are incremental solutions that lead to larger solutions that will shift your whole world.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like the earth shattering thing. So sometimes we think that when we talk about creating change or doing something different, that it has to be this monumental task that we have to take on. And no, it could be changing a word, changing the way that you speak to yourself, changing people around you, right? The women in my Ladies Who Leverage community are always telling me, Kelly, everybody can't come, right? Because I'm always like trying to bring they're like, everybody can't come, right?
Everybody can't go. Ooh, wait, I let that sink in, everyone, because I know you have something to say on that. I'm going to flip the script here.
Yeah.
Do tell us, Kelly, about everyone can't go. How tough is that, or how easy has that been for you?
It's interesting. In certain spaces, it's easy. In the space when I'm talking about the women, how I created Ladies Who Leverage, in that space, it's harder for me because I want to see everyone win and I want to take everyone with me. So it's harder in that space. So when they say to me, everyone can't go, everyone can't come, however you want to say it, that is a harder journey for me. Now, there are other places that, I understand that completely, because one of the things that I say is I belong everywhere I am, but I don't belong everywhere. So I understand that everyone doesn't deserve my presence, right? But I have my sister goes, you're a social worker at heart. And so the social worker in me finds it hard sometimes though I get it intellectually, sometimes in a heart space, it's hard for me to really just be like, yeah, you're right. And it's funny because my new book is coming out, and in my book, I put in there, everyone can't go, right? That's part of the lessons, right? The book is Unapologetic AF, 34 Ways to Unleash Your Inner Badass. And one of the things is to shed dead weight and to protect your peace and your space. And part of that is understanding that everyone can't go, right?
Ooh, and unapologetically. So I'm so thrilled for that to come out, because it's necessary, and we must be more unapologetic. There's so many I'm sorry's, and speak, hear, feel, see, make decisions, be a decision maker unapologetically. Right? We are supported. Yeah. I said, ooh.
I said what I said, and I meant it.
This is okay, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot see my expression right now, but listen, I literally just got off a call with my business manager. I said what I said. I meant what I meant it, said it. And I've always been this way. My dad was very transparent and he meant what he said. He retracted no thing. But as women, we evolve. You can't say that.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Yes, we should. And yes, we will. And yes, we are. So
Absolutely.
I'm thrilled for your book to come out. That's really exciting.
Yes, I'm so excited too. And before we go, I want to talk to you about something else because you said about giving. And I watched the other day, and I am not going to say this name because I know I will just destroy it. But you were at an entrepreneurial academy and you were speaking to some young people. And if you know how to say the name, then you can say it, but I will mess it up. I know it's KIKIFER is the name of the academy. But as I was watching like the snippet that you had, I was wondering, what did that feel like to be able to give back in that space to these, I mean, just amazingly brilliant young people who are on this journey of becoming entrepreneurs, or some of them are already, they already have their businesses. And actually, it's interesting. I went back to look at the academy. It is a requirement of the academy that they start their businesses. So what was that like to be in that space with them?
It was inspiring to me. And I mentioned on the onset of going into that speaking event, there were children who were actually in the classroom and ones that were on virtually. And I told them, I said, did you know that even before we started the speaking event, even before I saw your faces on this Zoom, that you have inspired many people simply by the fact that I told people that I am talking to you today. In this, when I was sharing, like, wow, I get to speak with students who actually have written books. It is a requirement of Kickafers Academy that they become authors. Every child in this school is an author, and the new students are authors in progress. It is a requirement. Every child has an LLC. We know the guidelines on LLC. So you must be 18. I'm not sure of them specifically, but I believe you have to be 18 in order to start getting paid or something like that to that effect, but they're already established. So when that transition happens and they evolve into becoming true business owners, they are already either earning income or partnering or building. They all have an LLC in their name. And we all should know right now how important it is to establish a business as a sole proprietorship LLC, something on some level, no matter what you're doing, right? So the feeling was inspiring because I was inspired before I even got on with them. I had a meeting right before I got on with them. My entire team was like, what? You get to do what? They are who? These are people who are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old that are either work with me on my team or their clients or friends or that haven't written their book, that have not started their LLC. So the fact that these young children from kindergarten to 12, Henry and your wife at Kickafers Academy, you're amazing. Everybody Google that, kickafersacademy.com, or it might be .org. Please take a look. Don't quote me on that, but it's Kickafers Academy. Look and see what they're doing. They've been on national news, and these children were phenomenal. They were brilliant. They were clear. Their verbiage was clear. They were transparent, yet they were still teens and children, and they were still at their age, but on levels, right? And part of it was listening. We talked about the reciprocity between parenting and being a part, playing your role as a student in your family. A lot of these students have even accomplished more than their parents have, right? Some of them have gone far beyond that, even at their age. So how, as a parent, do you deal with this genius, this person who's accomplished these things? And so my topic was the reciprocity and listening better to your parents and having your parents listen better to you. And I was giving them insight and examples from my children and my childhood on ways that they can get their parents to listen more and ways that they should listen to their parents in a different way with these massive accomplishments that they're having. And my children are now young adults, and this is something that I've learned in my experiential knowledge. Their geniuses also, but I had to speak and learn and talk with them differently. So I use the examples of what they were talking about. So there is no one way to explain what I felt and still feel this moment of having the opportunity to speak with them, being transparent. They were so transparent. And I learned from them as I was able to share and pour into their lives. So it was beyond amazing. It still is beyond amazing because they're still there doing what they do. I'm doing what I do. And the reciprocity from that one conversation is still in me. So it was beyond amazing. Super grateful.
Yeah, I thought I saw it and I was like, oh, wow. And so I started to look up the academy because I was really interested in that, because one of the things that I want to do with Ladies Who Leverage is to create an incubator for young women, because I think it's so for young girls and women, so 9 to 18, so that they can get representation, so that they can see us doing all of these different things, right? The things that aren't in the book, right? And it can be that you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to be an employee, but, you know, giving them exposure to so many of those things at their age to be able to navigate those spaces better than we did, or, you know, have better skills than we did when we were in those spaces. So yeah, I loved seeing that and just learning about, now I know Kickafers. I loved learning about their academy, and I'm so glad that they're doing that. So Donjia, before we wrap up, one of the things that I know that you do is something called a solution session. So what is that, and how can the listeners learn more about that?
Thank you so much. They can go to donjiagale.com. They can also go to Instagram at Donjia Gale. Everything on all my social platforms is my first and last name. It is my brand. I've evolved into this and I'm so grateful for it. My name has a special meaning. It means royal wind. And I am here to be that and all that I'm created to be. And I say that unapologetically. There was a time where I was like, I'm royal wind. No, I am royal wind. I'm Donjia Gale. Right. Go to donjiagale.com and you can connect with me there, or you can go to Instagram and click on my link tree. You can also email me at management@donjiagale.com. And the solution sessions, if you go to Instagram at Donjia Gale, it'll show you right there on my link tree, solution session. There are two different ways. We have solution sessions, which is a series. Those are beyond phenomenal. You can take a look at donjiagale.com to see some of the testimonies. I need to add more. When I say I am so thrilled to be able to have the opportunity to do this work on this platform, to be gifted in this manner, it is just that. I guarantee my work 100%. So if we're in the session and for any reason you do not feel like there are actionable items, solutions, opportunities. I mean, this one client, I just dropped her a multi-million-dollar idea and it just came to me. And I'm actually really, I don't like to use the word hope, but I really wish she would take it and go somewhere all the way with it. And the only thing I asked back from her, I was like, when you're on these major platforms, just say you found this in the solution session. The reason why I mentioned that, because the solution sessions are active. It is not a homework session. It's not like this long coursework you have to do. We're doing the work in the solution session. I'm talking to you. We're doing the activities. We're doing the thinking. We're doing the review. I'm asking the questions. They're pretty intense. Yet over 100% of my clients have come back wowed by, like, that just happened in 90 minutes. And then it's likely that you do a solution series. And it's pretty phenomenal. I was guided to do this. I've been doing it for free for a long time and decided to shift my gifts into monetization and really creating it and making my business. So donjiagale.com, you can go to solutions on my link tree. It's very clear. If you don't see any of those, just email management@donjiagale.com. Monica is my business manager and assistant. We'll get right to you. Test me. I'm about it, about my word, and more so about what you will do with the words that you hear about yourself and how those will change your business and your life personally and professionally.
Oh, Donjia, that's amazing. And Donjia is DONJIAGALE.com. So DONJIAGALE.com. And it will be in the show notes, but just in case you don't get to the show notes and you're listening to her, please go to donjiagale.com, or as she says, you can email management@donjiagale.com. Donjia, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing all of your wisdom with my listeners on Ladies Who Leverage podcast. And for all of you, I should give you a pause to say thank you. That I said thank you to you. I'm sorry. My my brain just went. But this is how we do, right? We're just having a conversation. But thank you, Donjia, for sharing your expertise with our listeners here today and just being so open about your journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you is never an overused word. It is the essence of gratitude. And so I'm grateful. I'm beyond just a thank you. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be on earth right now. I am grateful to be able to share. And I send you love and light and limitless success in this new podcast that you have, your book that you have, Unapologetically AF. I said that to my young ones and they knew you were about it. Okay, let me just say, so your target audience is broad. This needs to be a #1 best-selling book worldwide. I'm gonna just put it out there right now. And because that unapology, can you cuss on your podcast? Yeah. I'm not gonna do it right now, but I want to, because this is what I said. I said, can you help me set up my background real quick? Because I thought we were gonna go live. And I say thank you. This is part of my gratitude. I said the name of the podcast I'm on is and I mentioned the name of it. I'm working with Kelly or whatever, but she has unapologetically, she said, unapologetic as fuck is the name of it. And they were like, what? I said, yeah. So I'm not apologizing for nothing today on this podcast. I'm going live. We had some technical issues. I'm here. This is what I am. I'm in between flights. I'm doing a lot of things, but I know I'm meant to do this right now. Can you get my set up? And let's go. And I'm not apologizing for nothing. Okay. Right. And so thank you for that. Thank you for the transparency and bringing me on your brand new podcast. Yeah, it's going to do lots of things, and much success to you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And for all of you listeners, thank you for joining us. We drop our new episodes every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And you've heard me talk about Ladies Who Leverage. We are not just a podcast, and we're not just hanging out on Clubhouse. We are a global
Thanks for joining us.
This podcast is brought to you by Lady Lawyer do so many things to help support each other,
woman
to hold
who's ready
each other
to take
accountable,
action, to
and
live
really
life
to correct each other when it's
unapologetically
necessary. So
then you
if
need
you
to
are
join
a
our
female
global
entrepreneur,
community
a
on
side
Facebook,
hustler,
Ladies
or a
Who
woman in
Leverage.
transition,
And
thinking
remember
about
to
whether or not you
subscribe
should
to our
embark
podcast.
on your
And
entrepreneurial
until
journey,
next time,
I would love
let's
to invite you to
collabosource,
join us in
strategize,
Ladies Who Leverage. You
and
can go to
monetize.
team with an MLWL.com. So teamLWL.com to join us in Ladies Who Leverage. And don't forget, subscribe to the Ladies Who Leverage podcast so that you never miss an episode. Bye for now.